Students, welcome back to your science class. Today we are going to study with this chapter number 4, synthetic fibers and plastics. So, our today's topic is plastics. We have all learned about the synthetic fibers, different types of synthetic fibers and how they are arranged. Now in this lecture, we are going to study about the plastics. There are several characteristics of plastics and there are different types of plastics which are available and you are able to see them all in your daily life. Now, certain things, whether it's a chair or a table or anything else, uh, some different kinds of boxes, small, big, different types of toys. So many varieties of plastics are available nowadays. Now, what are plastics? Let us learn about plastics. As we have learned about synthetic fibers, that they are polymers made up of monomers arranged in a single chain. Here we have plastics which are again polymers, but our plastics are not only in linear chains, they are also linked in cross chains. So some plastics are linear, they have linear arrangement, and some plastics are cross linked to each other. The units of small units are cross linked to each other. This we will see later on when we will learn about the two types of plastics. Now let us continue with the characteristics. Plastics, as they are nowadays readily available, we all know that they can be easily molded into different shapes and sizes. They could be recycled, reused, they could be colored. Obviously, there are plastic articles which are available in many colors. Then they could be melted. Yes, plastics could be melted. If we keep the plastic bottle near some heat or near your gas stove, it gets melted. Then plastic can be rolled into sheets and wires. Of course, the plastic sheets are also available. The simplest example is of the sheets the thin plastic sheets that you use to cover your books, or the plastic sheet that is used to cover the food articles, the cling film. Then it can be rolled into wires. This we have learned that plastic wires are also available. Then non-reactive. Plastic is non-reactive. Non-reactive, we can simply keep almost everything in plastic jars or plastic bottles or plastic containers. Why? Because they are non-reactive. If we keep the food articles or we keep the medicines or we keep any other things, so they are non-reactive. Okay, then they are light in weight, of course, as compared to the glass articles or metallic objects. They are light in weight. Then they are strong. The plastics are strong. If you are sitting on a chair made up of plastic, a small child can also sit on a chair. Even a large or a heavy person can also sit on the same chair. So it is strong. Durable. The plastics, obviously, they are used for longer times. Then the last characteristic is they are poor conductors of heat as well as of electricity. That's why we use the plastic wires or the plastic materials to cover the copper wires, and also the plastic handles and everything made up of your cookers and your karais, they are also made up of plastic. So these all are the various characteristics of plastics. They are polymers, linear chains and cross-linked units, easily molded into any desired shape and size. They could be recycled. This has some thing that some plastics are recycled, some are not. Then reused, colored, melted, rolled into sheets and wires, non-reactive, light, strong, durable, poor conductor. We have learnt about different characteristics of plastics. Now we have two basic types of plastics known as thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Let us see how they are different from each other. Thermoplastics are softened on heating. So your bottles and everything which is made up of plastic which gets soft on heating or it de-shapes is the thermoplastic material. Thermosetting plastics, they do not soften on heating. Okay, they do not soften or they do not change their shapes on heating, and hence they are known as thermosetting. Means their setting is not changed due to therma term is known for heat. Okay, so heat can change or heat affects the thermoplastic and heat does not affect the thermosetting plastics. Then the thermoplastics are long chain linear polymers. Okay, long chain linear polymers means, as we have seen in your synthetic fibers, long chain polymers were there. So similarly, the thermoplastics are same as your synthetic fibers. The arrangement is same, but the thermosetting plastic arrangement is different. It is cross-linked polymers. Cross-linked polymers means the arrangement of cross-linked polymers is somewhat like that, whatever you are able to see on the board. Okay, the small units are linked and interlinked with each other, making a cross-linked polymer. Now these thermoplastics, as they are affected by heat, so they can be reshaped, they can be recycled, and they can be reused. On the other hand, your thermosetting plastics cannot be reshaped, recycled, or reused after they are broken up. Thermoplastics are soft, weak, and less brittle. They are soft. Okay, they are soft means you can, even some of the plastics would be squeezed. So they are soft. They are weak and less brittle. Less brittle means when they break up, though they are weak, they could be broken up easily, but they do not shatter into small pieces as that of your glass. Okay, so they are less brittle. Thermosetting plastics are hard and strong, so easily they won't get broken up, but when they are broken up, they cannot be reshaped, reused, and recycled. Then these thermoplastics are soluble in organic solvents. Organic solvents, as we have seen your petrochemicals, so these thermoplastics can be soluble in organic solvents, whereas thermosetting plastics are insoluble in organic solvents. The examples of thermoplastics are PVC, which is known as polyvinyl chloride. You must have heard about PVC. Then polystyrene, PS. Then PE, polyethylene. Then PP is polypropylene. All these are examples of your thermoplastics, out of which PVC is more commonly used. Then you have thermosetting plastic examples as bakelite. Bakelite is used in making your cooker and kadai handles. Then melamine ware are available. That means your dinner sets are available made up of melamine. Then fiberglass. A fiberglass is a glass which is not, it looks like a glass, but it is of fiber or it is of plastic. Okay, so it is unbreakable, easily non-breakable. Then you have silicone. Silicone sheets, it is not the silicone that is your non-metal. It is the silicone. Silicone sheets are available made up of thermoplastics. Okay, they looks like silicone. So out of all these, the thermoplastics, you can easily see them in different types of articles, such as your small bottles and containers and the toys. All those types of things are made up of thermoplastics, whereas thermosetting plastics are used to make your switchboards, then your cooker handles, then melamine ware, of course the dinner set is made up of that, then different types of fiber glasses and silicone glasses. So with this we have completed two types of plastics, that is thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Moving on to the last topic of the chapter, let us think about how much plastic do we have at our places, at our homes. Starting from our toothbrush, we have everything in our bathroom, which is almost everything is made up of plastic. Our toothbrushes, then our buckets and the mugs, then our whatever types of racks are available in your bathrooms, all are made up of plastic. Then your combs, your hair accessories, most of them, and other materials that we wear, even the bangles we have, which is made up of plastics. Moving on to our kitchens, we have our tables and chairs, different types of crockery items, then your measuring cups, and different types of spoons or ladles we have, which are made up of plastics. Even the bags that we used to carry different materials from market, those are also made up of plastic, that is our poly bags, okay, polythene bags. So everywhere there is plastic, 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 so much plastic we are using. So what are we doing of this plastic material after we have utilized them, or after they are not able to be used again? Suppose one of your crockery plate, it gets broken up. We are not going to use that. So what we will do? We will throw it in the garbage. Okay? So all those plastic bags that we are using, we are again going to dump it into the garbage pit. So finally, there is plastic in our entire environment. So we are going to learn the plastic and the environment, what the plastic is going to be do with our environment. Before going to this, we have to know about materials which are of two types: biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Bio means life or the living things. Here we have the living things, which are microorganisms like bacteria and fungi, and the insects like earthworms. Degradable, the term degradable means decomposed or degraded. Okay, decomposed or degraded means it may be broken down into small pieces or small components. Okay, so the living things which degrade or decompose materials easily, so those materials are known as biodegradable materials. We have some materials which are non-biodegradable. The term non refers to not. Okay, so these materials which are, by definition, we say that not decomposed by living things. And suppose we are, or not suppose, we are talking about plastics, so we can say that they are not easily decomposed by living things like our microorganisms and the insects. So when they are not degraded easily, what will happen? They will take several years to be decomposed. Okay, and in those several years they will be there in the garbage, or they will be present in the soil. So what they are doing at a space, we can say that at a pace we can say that they are not environment friendly because they are not degraded easily, and they are on the other hand polluting our soil. Okay, so they are the polluters of soil. The plastic is a polluter of soil. Again, if it is getting accumulated in the environment, or if we are sending these plastic bags or the plastic materials which are not usable into the garbage, what will happen? There are certain animals which feed on materials from garbage. Okay, so what do these animals do? They will start eating up the materials which are present in the garbage, and in those all sort of materials they will also end up eating the plastic bags. Okay, the or the small articles which are broken, the broken parts of your toys and other materials that we have dumped into the garbage. Okay, so they will start eating all those materials. What will this material or what will this plastic going to do is it will either choke their respiratory system, or it will be stick to the internal linings of the stomach. Okay, it will get stuck to the internal linings of the stomach, and ultimately, due to both of these reasons, the animal is going to be dying. The death of the animal would occur. Now, suppose if we don't want the animals to eat up those plastic bags and other materials, what we are doing? We may burn the plastic. Okay, there is one method of burning the garbage. Okay, whenever there are garbage heaps are available, people generally burn those garbage material. So, now this burning of plastic is very slow. It is very slow, and on the other hand, it releases different poisonous gases or the poisonous fumes. Now, as these poisonous fumes are secreted or they are accumulated in the air, they are ultimately going to pollute the air. Okay, so they are polluters of air also. Now, we know that whatever water is coming through rains, it's coming whatever the main source of water on earth is rain, and the rain is, when rain is falling, it's taking up all the dirt and everything which is present in the air, and then it is coming to the ground. Okay, so whatever poisonous gases are there in the air, they will mix up with the rainwater, and they will end up coming to our water bodies, coming to our soil, and ultimately what is going to be done? The water is also getting polluted. So all three basic types of pollutions are the caused by plastics. Okay, whether it is soil, whether it is air, or it is water. So everything is getting polluted by plastics. Now what we have to do to reduce this pollution? As a first step, what we can do is we can dispose of the biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste separately. So separate disposal of the waste has to be done whenever we are disposing of, or whenever we are dumping whatever garbage is there at homes. Okay, so there has to be a separate disposal system wherein we can have separate bins for biodegradable and non-biodegradable materials. Like you may have seen somewhere, or you may have seen some in some metro cities, that there are green colored garbage pits, or there are green colored dustbins which are meant to be keep the biodegradable waste in them, and there are some blue colored or red colored bins which are used for disposal of non biodegradable materials. Then what else we can do? We can say no to the plastic bags. What we can do? We can say no to the plastic bag. That means we should not use the plastic bags at frequent basis unless it is of a much necessity. Okay, then we have to replace them with the biodegradable materials. Now if we are not using the plastic bags, what will happen? Or the plastic materials, what will happen? Ultimately we must use anything, or we must use something at least. So what we can do is we can replace those materials with the biodegradable ones. For example, instead of your plastic bags, what we can use? We can use the jute bags or the cloth bags. Different types of cloth bags we can use. Then instead of your lunch boxes, which are mostly made up of plastic, what we can use? Because some plastics may, on heating, they may release some gases, and they may react with the food. And mostly in the lunch boxes, what we are keeping? We are keeping the hot food articles. Okay, so we may replace it with the metal lunch boxes. Okay, and then lastly what we have to do is we have to follow the 5R principle. Till now you must have heard about the 3R principle. Now for plastic we follow the 5R principle, which starts with reduce. Reduce means we have to reduce, we have to minimize the usage of plastic materials, or whatever materials or whatever things we are going to, which are going to pollute our environment, we have to reduce all those things. Then we have to reuse at whatever you can say at whatever pace we can do. We have to reuse the materials. Suppose we are using we have some plastic bottles, we have used those bottles, now we can reuse them for planting trees. We can cut them and plant the trees inside them. Then we can use it to make some best out of waste articles, like your um, decorative pieces and your pan holders and whatnot and whatnot. You must have even made those things. Then we have to recycle. The third R is recycle. We have to recycle. So some plastics that we have heard about, the thermoplastics are recyclable, so we have to recycle them. Then recover. What does this mean, recover? We can recover those thermoplastics as we are recycling them. We can recover them. Okay. Then refuse. Now what does this term refuse means? We are already saying that we are reducing, but refuse is the ultimate term, that we should not, at any pace, we are not going to use the plastics or any of the non-biodegradable materials. Thermocol is one of the examples of these non-biodegradable materials. It is almost same as plastics. Okay, so we have to follow this 5R principle so that we can have a clean environment. And this environment is ultimately the one in which we are going to live, and it will be going to affect our health. Okay, so to make ourselves healthy, to make our environment clean, to make things easier for ourselves, what we have to do? We have to use this 5R principle of reduce, reuse, recycle, recover, and refuse. With this, we have completed our chapter, Synthetic Fibers and Plastics. I hope that you all must have understood whatever we have discussed in the video. If you have any doubts, if you want me to make some more things clearly, so you may message me and I will clear up your doubts. All the best and have a good day. Goodbye.